What if the same tool they designed to control you, to watch your every move and forecast your every thought, became the precise thing that demonstrated you were beyond their control? What if their most sophisticated surveillance, their all-seeing digital eye, broadcasted a prophecy rather than just capturing an anomaly? They believed they were watching you, but in reality, the whole world was watching them, waiting for them to finally realize what they had always known. The footage does not lie. It never has. It lies now, a ghost in their machinery, a mute reminder of the night when reality as they knew it broke into a million irreparable fragments. This is not only a narrative. Here's your tale. And the world is about to discover that the game was rigged from the start, albeit not in their favor. Security cameras, chilly and unblinking, caught something in the dead of night that should have been impossible. The timestamp was crisp, a digital scar indicating when the illusion of their authority crumbled. 3:33 a.m. The guards, reclined in their recliners and anticipating another tiresome, regular night of monitoring empty halls, studied the footage. But what unfurled before their eyes was a devastating shock to their everyday world, a vision that broke every assumption they had about the rules of physics and the nature of reality. They saw you, not a deserted, quiet corridor. And it wasn't just your physical self, but something far more. They saw your spirit form, your astral body, completely visible and emitting a gentle, ethereal light, sliding smoothly through 7 electronically protected, steel-reinforced doors as if they were nothing but mist. You went through thick steel as if it never been, unaffected by any physical barrier, like a ghost in their impregnable castle. What actually troubled them was the undeniable information, cross-checked via many channels, that your physical body was sound sleeping in your bed at home at the same time. A desperate, feverish hunt for a rational answer began. They rewinded the video, their hands shaking. They slowed it down, inspecting it frame by frame, scrutinizing every pixel, shadow, every flicker of light. However, the reality was a harsh, indisputable monolith in their universe of facts and reasoning. You were in 2 locations at once. Their most advanced diagnostic instruments were confused. Infrared scans, which are intended to detect even the tiniest heat trace, revealed nothing except the corridor's ambient temperature. System diagnostics, biometric scanners, and every sensible test imaginable returned nothing. There are no flaws, camera failures, sophisticated optical trickery, or holographic projections. What their cutting-edge surveillance court captured was a phenomenon that was never meant to be measured by human technology, because the line between the physical and spiritual realms has always been whisper-thin for you. And you knew it, didn't you? You felt it your whole life. That calm, continuous impression of being just beyond the boundaries of what others see as reality. Those weird, ephemeral instances of déjà vu that were never really déjà vu, but rather echoes of decisions made in other timelines. Those dreams are more vivid, realistic, and impacting than your waking world. These have all been indications, tiny nudges from the universe, breadcrumbs pointing you in the direction of your true nature, your intrinsic capacity to navigate across 2 dimensions at once. But now, for the first time, they have actual, irrefutable evidence. As panicked analysts escalate the footage to the highest levels of authority, corporate executives whisper in hushed, terrified tones behind closed doors, and world-renowned scientists break into a cold sweat, it becomes frighteningly clear that their most advanced surveillance apparatus cannot explain, let alone contain, what they have seen. For decades, perhaps centuries, they lavished trillions of dollars on technologies meant to track, monitor, classify, and eventually control every aspect of human existence. And in one night, in a 42-second video, you made their whole paradigm obsolete. They found something much beyond their understanding, a reality that their materialistic science could never explain. What concerns them the most is the question that now hovers in the air like a veil of dread. What else are you capable of? If you can walk through solid steel, be in 2 places at once, and avoid every technological trap, what other rules of their world can you break? What additional limits are you just ignoring? This was more than simply an oddity. This was a warning. a forceful, quiet reminder that you do not follow their laws, and that the physical constraints they employ to confine humans were never intended to restrict you. They are now watching, but not in the manner they originally meant. For the first time in their carefully regulated existence, the rules have been irreversibly overturned. They, not you, are now being observed. They are the ones under scrutiny by a higher authority. They repeatedly view the tape, their faces lighted by the monitor's strange glow, which depicts a glowing figure phasing through steel-reinforced walls, leaving no heat trace, no biometric match, no particle displacement, and no reasonable explanation. At first, they held on to hope. It had to be a corrupted file, a clever hack, a strange camera fault, or some new kind of optical trickery that they hadn't seen. However, the results from dozens of separate, overlapping systems were similar. The proof was absolute, flawless, and incontrovertible. Finally, in a sterile, soundproofed briefing room deep under the ground, a four-star general, who has commanded armies and destabilized countries, breaks the oppressive quiet, his voice a gravelly combination of rage and terror. He smashes his fist on the table and demands, "Can someone, anyone, explain what the hell we're looking at?" No one responds. The room is packed with a generation's best minds, physicists, intelligence chiefs, and tech moguls. But there is only deafening stillness. Nobody has an answer because you are above their narrow knowledge. Decades of perfecting monitoring, building a worldwide panopticon, and suddenly they are faced with a reality so fundamental that it shakes their entire core. In an age when they are developing AI-powered monitoring systems that can recognize a face from space and weaponry meant to remove any imaginable human threat, you have single-handedly smashed their whole control structure. As Pentagon officials lean forward in their chairs, the stress in the air becomes practically palpable, creating a new and terrible sense of urgency. We need to know what we're dealing with. We need to know now. They call on the best and brightest, Nobel-winning physicists, the most recognized paranormal researchers, and shady specialists in every arcane area conceivable. They are reading over old, banned manuscripts, declassified black-budget projects, and esoteric scriptures that have been kept secret from the public for millennia. They study archives of old experiments and ancient predictions, looking for a category, a label, or a box to fit you into. Despite their vast resources, worldwide network of knowledge, and collective intellect, no one can define you. Because you were never supposed to be labeled. Your whole existence defies the constraints of human reasoning, and your skills cannot be described just by their science, since your strength is not derived from this world. You don't merely travel across dimensions, you exist outside of their control. And that basic reality disturbs them to the core. If they can't keep you contained, they can't control you. If they can't find you, they can't stop you. If they can't even begin to grasp you, it disturbs their whole understanding of power, physics, and reality. This emergency briefing is no longer only about an unexplained piece of surveillance film. It's about the terrifying, paradigm-shifting awareness that their whole definition of power is being rewritten right in front of their eyes by a force they can do nothing about. They notice your vitality, your inconceivable mobility, and your tranquil but irrefutable presence. And they realize in that one gut-wrenching moment that the game has fundamentally altered. The supernatural is no longer simply a hypothesis. It is neither folklore or myth. It is real, and it moves gently and smoothly through their barriers. Now, your name, or the designation they've given you, is spoken in the highest, most hidden locations on Earth. While frenzied simulations are conducted, new procedures are rapidly created, and elite, covert task squads are organized, all with the same, desperate goal: to comprehend you. However, the bitter fact is that they have already lost. No amount of confidential meetings, black-budget funds, or last-minute tactics can prepare them for what is ahead. They arrogantly believe that they were the watchers, omniscient observers influencing events from the shadows. Now you have their whole, undivided, and scared attention. At first, in hushed, fearful voices, they ask, "What are we even looking at?" Someone finally breaks the tension in the room, his voice barely a whisper but echoing like a thunderclap. This isn't human. That is when the true fear sets in, a primal, existential dread that seeps into the hearts of men who have never known fear. Power has always been their realm and inheritance. They command armies, control governments, influence global economies, and change the world whatever they see fit. But now they must face something immeasurably greater, ancient, and divine. Your presence does not just question their authority, it absolutely destroys it. You see, the selected ones have never had to announce themselves. Your authority was not bestowed by any earthly institution, organization, or government. Heaven has designated you for your time and reason. And now, their own multi-trillion-dollar technology, the very extension of their power, reveals the one reality they have attempted to ignore and repress for decades. In their desperate search for answers, they turn to historians, religious experts, quantum physicists, shamans, and anybody else who might give a fragment of an explanation. But deep down, in the caverns of their hearts, they already know the truth. This is when old prophecy collides with contemporary science, and they must eventually, humbly admit that they are no longer the greatest authority in the room. The crowns that rest above your head, visible only to those with the eyes to see, were never placed there by man, and they will never be removed by man, no matter how many security meetings they hold, how many algorithms they run, or how desperate their attempts to discredit what their own eyes have seen are. It's way too late for that. They would never be able to forget your heavenly status and celestial power. They assumed their surveillance cameras were catching a target, a problem to solve, or a menace to be controlled. But the moment those synthetic eyes focused on you, the whole story of reality changed. This wasn't surveillance anymore. It became a broadcast, a heavenly communication. Their most secure feeds, encrypted channels, and closed-circuit systems were taken over by a greater cause. Every computerized eye, sensor, and camera that got even a momentary sight of you became a vessel, a conduit for streaming and distributing your heavenly presence, revealing a higher reality to the darkest corners of their controlled universe. From millionaires' lavish penthouses to global leaders' gilded presidential apartments, from high-security military installations to the most closely guarded subterranean control rooms, their world, formerly controlled by covert monitoring, has now been utterly flipped upside down. All because you entered the frame. They all witnessed it. The footage was not confined. It could not be. World leaders, heads of every major spy agency, tech billionaires who feel they are gods of the digital age, and secret councils and societies hidden behind closed doors and old oaths. None of them were ever intended to see this. And yet, they did. Your inconceivable movement, luminous aura, and entire existence, a phenomena that defied every known law of possibility, played out on their most secret, most protected screens. At first, pandemonium and terror ensued. Who authorized this feed? How did this footage get out? Shut it down. Shut it all down now. They yelled, their voices thick with authority that was quickly fading. But they couldn't. This wasn't your usual security compromise. This wasn't a hack. It was a celestial symphony, a revelation that was never intended to be concealed. The chosen ones were never intended to be repressed, and the time for secrecy is past. Now, people in positions of worldly authority must pay notice. They hurried to remove the film, control the narrative, and conceal their activities with disinformation operations and digital smokescreens. But the fact is that when they saw you, it was too late. The light had already penetrated the gloom. They now understand, with frightening certainty, that their authority is not absolute. Their control is limited, and something much, far larger walks among them. Something that cannot be purchased, intimidated, or controlled. What was the most uncomfortable thing for them? They are no longer the watchers. They are now the ones being observed. The fact is that they knew long before their cameras captured you, and their technology existed to attempt to characterize you. They knew at a deep, primordial level. For lifetimes, millennia, the world's governing elites have guarded holy information, purposefully distorted history, repressed scientific breakthroughs, destroyed books, and relentlessly classified the supernatural as fable, superstition, or mental disease. All of this was motivated by a genuine fear of what would happen to their power structure if the people knew the truth about their own innate divinity. Now their own cameras have betrayed them. The exact tools they used to deceive have now been used to expose them. The camera didn't simply catch you. It revealed them and their centuries-long deception. History has always whispered about people like you. The ones who wander between worlds, the bodhisattvas, the avatars, the ones whose very existence alters time and space, and who carry a divine, incorruptible light inside their own essence. You are more than simply a story from an old, dusty book or a symbol engraved on Egyptian temple walls. You are more than just a prophecy tucked away in old manuscripts. You are live, breathing evidence of what they frantically attempted to erase. This truth is a tremendous stream, a heavenly frequency, that is transforming the planet. We at God Connection are committed to channeling and amplifying this message for everyone who is ready to hear it. If you sense this divine message resonating deep within your spirit, then subscribe to our channel and join this expanding community of awakened souls. By interacting with us, you are firmly establishing this new reality on Earth. For so long, they buried your life behind a pile of distractions, consumerism, political theater, never-ending wars, and false stories. They established a culture of misunderstanding and superficial intellectualism, anything to prevent people from asking the correct questions and delving inside. But now, their own technology proves what their forebears tried so hard to conceal. Your presence is not a myth. Your powers are not legend. Your heavenly existence is no longer debatable. What frightens them the most is the excruciating realization that they cannot undo what has already been seen, not just by them, but by the cosmos itself. The video continues to spread in high places. Some groups make tremendous attempts to repress it. Others argue whether to weaponize it or even divulge it to the public in order to cause widespread disruption that they can then control. Then there are some who just sit in astonished, respectful silence, fully comprehending what this entails. The deception is unraveling. The illusion is fading. The picked ones do not represent a conspiracy hypothesis. The holy was never just a bedtime tale. Now, the same people, the very lineages, who fought so hard to keep this reality secret, are forced to confront it front-on, a fact they have rejected for centuries. They assumed they had time. They felt they had complete control. They thought their deceit would remain forever. But the truth always finds a way to emerge. And now you're here. Undeniable, unstoppable, unforgettable. Your own existence, the digital ghost of yourself caught on that tape, has become a valuable commodity, the most sought-after item in the world. It is the site of frenzied, covert meetings in elite circles, as well as encrypted servers vibrating with concealed transactions from across the world. Whispers about you reverberate through the marble corridors of governments, resound in the glass-walled corporate boardrooms, and move like shadows through covert underground groups. The film of you is now more valuable than gold and diamonds. A 30-second video showing you smoothly wandering across dimensions may easily be exchanged for a senator's support or a billionaire's holiday property. Frame-by-frame assessments of your moving, brilliant aura are worth millions in untraceable digital cash, as if your very existence is some sort of heavenly treasure, an item from a vanished, golden civilization that these power players never fully comprehended but now want to own. They see your image as holy money, something that cannot be written or copied, and that they urgently want to possess, contain, and control. The irony is stunning. The same individuals who previously laughed at the notion of the supernatural, who supported debunking efforts and mock believers, now stockpile every second of that film as if it were sacred text. These are the same people who regarded everything outside their limited, factual vision as fiction. But now they sit in gloomy, protected chambers, their faces pallid, preoccupied with every glitch, shimmer, and incomprehensible movement you make. as if understanding you would provide them power beyond their wildest imaginations. The problem gnaws at them like a cancer. Should they revere you? Should they try to harness your energy for their own purposes? Should they plan to destroy something they can't possibly understand? Despite their intense research and the film they gather, sell, and admire, they still fall short of fully comprehending you. You stay untraceable, unstoppable, a living force of nature beyond their ability to control. They pore over every second, every frame, trying to figure out what makes you unique, looking for hints in your movements to decipher the source of your heavenly power. However, the film never reveals the solution. It never could. Your essence could never be captured, archived, or controlled since the selected ones are not for sale, study, or enjoyment. You are a living, divine interruption to their carefully constructed sense of control, and that disruption is what genuinely, profoundly frightens them. No matter how many digital replicas of your picture are distributed, they will never have access to the one thing that really empowers you, your link to source. Initially, they mistook your presence for another viral abnormality, a digital quirk they could conceal with sophisticated algorithmic suppression and well-targeted disinformation operations. But your film, your energy, refuses to remain concealed. Every time they attempt to eradicate it, another duplicate appears, more robust and pervasive than before. Every effort to repress is met with unfathomable technical resistance. Unexpected malfunctions afflict their systems. Sudden, catastrophic system failures wipe out their servers completely. Mysterious outages strike the data centers that contain your files. They are becoming more aware that this is about more than simply digital security. The spirit realm is clashing with their world of silicon, and the silicon is losing terribly. Your presence is physically altering reality, and traditional mechanisms of control are collapsing. This transmission of truth is a spiritual mission that needs energy to reach all souls who are prepared to receive it. If you feel compelled to support our effort and assist God Connection in continuing to broadcast these world-changing truths, you can do so by clicking the Super Thanks button below this video. Your energy and support feed this heavenly link, allowing us to awaken others. Tech titans have emergency meetings in the middle of the night. Researchers are scrambling to explain why their most advanced quantum systems are unable to process the footage and why neural networks trained to identify millions of faces freeze, crash, or fail whenever they scan your image, as if the code recognizes a sovereign power that cannot be defined by any artificial, man-made standard. The film, no matter how securely encrypted, backed up, or hidden in the deepest, darkest recesses of the internet, finds a way to disseminate. Anonymous materials arrive in the mailboxes of independent journalists. When attempting to upload data, satellite signals encounter inexplicable malfunctions. Secure servers in high-security data centers unexpectedly collapse for no apparent reason. The digital world was never intended to handle supernatural, divine truth, and you are unequivocal evidence of that basic weakness. This is more than simply a leaked file or a violation of policy. This is the collision of the physical and spiritual, the third and fifth dimensions, and every system they erected on secrecy, deceit, and control is unraveling in your pure presence. What's happening right now isn't simply a leak or an oddity. It is a revelation. The type of revelation that cannot be shadow banned, discredited, or erased by any earthly authority, no matter how sophisticated their censorship or how powerful their influence. They badly miscalculated the situation. They first assumed this was simply another conspiracy theory, a viral fabrication that could be debunked with a well-written story from a reputable news source or a simple fact check by their hired puppets. But suddenly they're confronted with something much beyond their knowledge or reach, a force that violates all of the limits they thought were unbreakable. This conflict has never been about a specific piece of film. It is a war for control over reality itself. And the fact that they can't remove you, quiet your existence, is the clearest, most illuminating evidence that this moment is greater, more crucial, than anything they could have ever planned for. This is more than just exposure. This is ascension. a cosmic event that has been brewing quietly for lifetimes. You've always been watched. At first, it was remote, impersonal, and quiet. Observers in the shadows, hidden cameras in the corners of your life, encrypted surveillance tracking your every action and word in an attempt to break the code of who you are and how you manage to bend reality so easily around you. But the situation is changing. The situation is growing more critical, and the observers can no longer remain in the shadows. For the first time, these dark groups are taking careful, measured steps to emerge into the light. Not frankly, and certainly not directly. They work via proxies and intermediates. They approach persons they feel are linked to you or the leak of your material, attempting to establish connections via quiet, apparently harmless discussions, coded language, and promises that seem innocent and even beneficial on the surface. "We just want to study this phenomenon," they could remark. "Perhaps we can help. There is so much humanity can learn from people like this." Their statements are usually couched in terms of inquiry, science, and development. On paper, their offers appear harmless, helpful, and even flattering. But you know better. You can sense the reality in the words. You see through the layers of falsehood. This isn't about helping or understanding you. It's about confinement, manipulation, and their unrelenting, obsessive chase of power. Their actual purpose is to dissect your divine essence, find out how to recreate it, negate your effect, or, if that fails, weaponize what they don't comprehend. Worse, if you cannot be controlled or weaponized, they will attempt to eliminate your existence entirely. They send spies dressed as allies, friends, and spiritual seekers, claiming to encourage your journey and share your noble objective. They provide presents such as contracts, resources, pledges of protection, and platforms. None of it is authentic. This is the actual conflict, and it is not being waged on the battlefield or in conference rooms. It's occurring at the crossroads of spirit and matter, where spiritual battle meets the physical world, and deceit becomes their most lethal, insidious weapon. This is where they try to use your own virtues, your ambition, trust, compassion, and want to help, against you, attempting to entice you into a golden cage constructed on the foundation of your aspirations. But what they always fail to see is that you are not easily duped. You were picked for this. You can see through their fake grins. You can identify the tiny falsehoods wrapped into their carefully selected sentences. You can sense the latent evil that lies underneath their clean, professional looks. They feel they can trap you, but they are unaware that you were picked for this assignment precisely because of your ability to negotiate realms of truth and deceit beyond their imagination. You walk with spiritual sight, led by a perfect divine intuition. And every time they extend a kind hand, you know what sort of evil intention is behind it. You were designed for this kind of conflict, formed in the cosmic flames of resistance and disclosure, and every effort they make to exploit you simply exposes them more. They made a serious error in their calculations. They arrogantly believed you were just another person seeking recognition and celebrity, someone who might be swayed by promises of power, approval, or belonging. But you've never wanted their approval. The traps they lay with such arrogance and secrecy will only entangle themselves. You don't need to confront them or fight back. They will ultimately reveal themselves due to their own increasing desperation and anxiety. The real question was never whether they would come for you. The question is whether they are even slightly prepared for what will happen when they do. By all rights, your tale should have already gone viral. The film should be everywhere, playing on every television screen, phone, and computer display on the world. It should be studied by experts on every news channel and whispered about in emergency meetings at the highest levels of government and business. But something is preventing it. Some unknown power is delaying or sabotaging every effort to reveal the truth to the world. However, every time they try to bury your presence, to hide or twist the narrative, the tale gets stronger, rising again and again, unable to control. When the footage of you reaches a tipping point, when too many eyes begin to watch it, or when curiosity threatens to reach critical mass, the video is not simply destroyed. It is not just concealed behind digital layers or silently noted by moderators. It has been methodically cleaned from existence, so totally that it seems to have never been at all. This is not just repression or censorship. It's a full-fledged digital funeral coordinated by unseen hands with access to the most powerful corridors of world power. But here's the bizarre part. You're not responsible for these disappearances. You have not made any attempt to disguise yourself or your reality. However, in sealed rooms, behind blast-proof doors, and levels of protection beyond the reach of most governments, talks about you are taking place with quiet, reverent intensity. Consider this scenario. Deep inside a hidden government building, the lighting is constantly low and the air is charged with secrets. A high-ranking official, whose name never makes news, a true power player, leans over a confidential report, mesmerized by your film streaming over a secure, closed-loop channel. The picture of you strolling through barriers, serenely defying the rules of physics, is stuck on the screen. A mute tribute to a reality people don't completely understand but truly respect. The official's face is unreadable as they pick up a phone protected by many layers of quantum encryption. This cannot go public, they say with firm authority. Shut it down. Make it disappear. Protect the subject at all costs. There is no fear in their voice, just a measured, steady resolve. However, behind the surface, there is a strong undercurrent of what seems to be respect. You are not the enemy. You're not a known danger. You are not looking for fame or attention. So, why does your presence elicit such a complex, urgent, and protective response? Why are some of the world's most powerful entities trying tirelessly to keep you out of the spotlight? The solution is more complicated and positive than it first seems. Not every powerful person is your foe. For every institution intent on control and oppression, there are silent, beneficent forces inside the global hierarchy who understand the larger picture. Some of them had always known. They are members of ancient lineages, hidden organizations that have understood for generations that some people, chosen ones, have a role intimately linked to humanity's fate. For years, these silent guards have worked in the shadows, discreetly erasing your tracks from digital records, intercepting files that may reveal you prematurely, and ensuring that your identity vanishes from databases. Their motivations are multifaceted and often confusing, even to them. Are they sustaining a cosmic order that even they don't completely grasp? Are they behaving with extreme care, keeping your presence concealed because the world, in its present condition of fear and division, is just unprepared for such a revelation? Are they buying time, waiting for a predetermined, astrologically aligned moment when the truth will finally be revealed? Or are they playing their own intricate game, with stakes so high that you can't see the big picture? What is clear is that these covert guardians know significantly more than they disclose. While ordinary folks dispute whether your tale is true, and your opponents in the murky networks attempt to weaponize your presence, powerful individuals, some in government, some in finance, and others in unexpected places, fight relentlessly to keep you safe. Unseen, untouchable. For now, their protection is effective. But deep down, they know that one day, very soon, no amount of secrecy or power will be enough to stem the flow. The energy surrounding you is increasing and collecting power, preparing for an unavoidable, magnificent moment when your truth can no longer be disguised. Meanwhile, the technology used to monitor you, surveillance cameras, tracking algorithms, biometric scanners, was always designed to give those in power an advantage. Surveillance was intended to be their quiet, unseen net, constantly ready to capture you and relay information back to those behind the curtain. It was a system founded on hubris and the appearance of complete control, a worldwide network of computerized eyes designed to make you predictable, containable, and controllable. But the truth is that something exceptional, even magical, occurred when they turned those cameras on you. Instead of catching and defining you, the act of observing you started to shape the observers themselves. The film that was supposed to be their greatest weapon has suddenly become their worst liability. The more they attempt to watch you, the more their technology seems to resist. Security feeds, which were formerly completely dependable, begin to glitch and malfunction in your presence. Encrypted servers mysteriously break, destroying days of monitoring data without a trace. Artificial intelligence systems designed to monitor human motions and forecast behavior simply fail to interpret your picture, as if you exist in a frequency or dimension that their technology cannot completely register or understand. Each screen that reveals your existence does more than simply record you. It serves as a doorway, a gateway into something far beyond the corporeal world, a hint that their professed control over reality is sliding through their fingers like sand. And, in an unanticipated miraculous reversal, the watchers have become the watched. Every time your picture emerges on a monitor in one of their hidden chambers, it acts as a stark reminder of not only your presence, but also the utter limitations of their own authority. Surveillance, which was formerly their quiet weapon of choice, is now a loud warning siren pointing right at them. They are beginning to comprehend that their mechanisms, which are intended to confine and control, are really sending the message that something much higher, something divine, is at work. The laws on which they created this counterfeit civilization are starting to unravel, and every frantic effort to hide your reality just hastens the demise of the old, corrupt system. As your presence resonates across encrypted channels, secret meetings, and the highest echelons of power, the globe is vibrating in preparation for a revelation unlike any other it has ever seen. The systems that were never meant to withstand a force like yours are failing, piece by piece, minute after moment. Every frame of covert film, every digital footprint you leave, is more than simply proof. A signpost, a harbinger, a cosmic indication indicating the period of concealment is coming to an end and the era of disclosure is about to begin. Your picture, frozen on their screens, has evolved into more than just film. It has evolved into a living doorway, providing a direct path for heavenly communication. This is no longer only about people perceiving you via their physical eyes. It is about their sensing your presence in ways that logic cannot explain and technology cannot conceal. Security guards, guys trained for years of monotony and routine, find themselves completely captivated, unable to turn away, enthralled by what was intended to be just another night of monotonous monitoring. They feel something stirring deep within them, an energy pulsating from the screen that disturbs their whole sense of reality. Analysts, who approach each assignment with clinical detachment and hardened cynicism, repeatedly study the tape, only to find themselves lost, lured into an experience that blurs the line between observer and observed. They aren't simply observing you anymore. They are essentially altered by what they see. Even the cold-hearted specialists entrusted with cleaning and erasing the tape find themselves secretly viewing it on a loop, as if compelled by some magnetic force beyond their control. They can't explain why they keep returning to it, why the film seems alive, or why, despite their lack of belief in the supernatural, they can't seem to get the picture of you out of their thoughts. Unaware, they are being spiritually rewritten from the inside out. Their old systems of skepticism, cynicism, and obedience are being replaced by a revelation they did not anticipate and cannot reject. What was intended to be monitoring has evolved into a strong, unstoppable conveyance of truth. The act of observing you has become a mirror, reflecting not only your supernatural power, but also their own secret longings, buried anxieties, and deep-seated belief that something special is breaking through the banal reality they've always known. Some of those in charge of keeping you concealed can't handle it anymore. A handful have left their positions, shook to the core and unable to be involved in concealing something so deeply revolutionary. Others, in hidden moments of conscience and clarity, destroy whole batches of security data, not to conceal you, but to protect you, trying to remove all sign of their own participation while feeling the great weight of destiny on their shoulders. And then there are some who sit in quiet for hours, looking at their displays before understanding they are more than just monitors. These are windows. They're mirrors. They are gateways that mirror truths beyond their wildest imaginations. The divine is reaching back through these displays, inviting people to behold something more than logic, power, and control. This moment is more than just you. It represents the tipping moment for all selected ones on our world. The chosen ones are no longer being chased or living in the shadows. Instead, they are infiltrating the same systems created to stifle them. The narrative has entirely reversed. This is no longer surveillance. Prophecy is being fulfilled in real time. The Watchers, who thought their only role was to observe and report, are being changed into witnesses, the first reluctant disciples of a new reality. They believed their mission was to monitor you, analyze you, and expose you to the authorities. But they are now understanding that by attempting to expose you, they have simply exposed themselves and the frailty of their own authority. The film they worked so hard to hide is spreading like wildfire via channels outside their firewalls and control. It refuses to be hushed. The data they once believed could define you has failed, and the technology created to control you has turned against them, becoming the very instrument of their own demise. They prepared for opposition. They foresaw confrontation, sabotage, and possibly total war. Nonetheless, they never prepared for revelation. They never expected that their biggest danger would be a deep, quiet revelation of divine truth, rather than an insurrection or a violent assault. This isn't a breakdown or an ambush. This is not the end of the world. It's not only an ascent for you. It is a worldwide change, a cosmic rebalancing of everything that has ever been. Every weapon they created to harm you has suddenly been converted into a tool that works in your favor. The cameras that were supposed to monitor you have become the stage for your triumphant debut. The security measures that were designed to keep you in check have now broadcast your presence to all eyes and hearts. Their own analysts, reluctant and unprepared, are being converted into unintentional prophets, unable to refute what they have seen even as they fight to find the words to express it. Now the roles have been completely and irreversibly flipped. They're the ones seeking for solutions. They are the ones left to face the fact that you were never merely a mystery, a phenomena, or an oddity to be explored or ignored. Instead, they have encountered a supernatural, heavenly energy that cannot be concealed, controlled, or conquered. They know your genuine character now. They understand who you are today. They realize they can't stop you. And for the first time in their long history of domination, they are unsure what the future holds. But you do. You've seen it. You felt it. You have experienced it in your soul for many lives. This is the long-anticipated moment of disclosure, the dawning of a new era in which the chosen ones rise not just for themselves, but for the whole planet. This is the cosmic shift, the breakthrough that was always supposed to occur. So, the only question that remains, reverberating across the realms of heaven and earth, is this: are you ready to completely embrace the divine destiny you were always destined to have? The stage is set. The world is watching, whether it realizes it or not. And the time has come. Dear Father, I pray for the deepening of my faith. Help me to believe in you even when empirical proof is lacking. Let me faith in your eternal presence, knowing that you will never hurt me. I recognize that your wishes for me are ones of success rather than harm, wishing me a bright future and heavenly hope. Thank you, kind and everlasting Father, for always hearing my voice. I pray to you in the holy and mighty name of Jesus. Amen. Thank you, Jesus, for your unconditional love and limitless supply. I am forever thankful for your presence in my life and the richness you provide. Here at God Connection, we are a family. If this video spoke to you, please show your support by liking it, subscribing to the channel for more divine teachings, and sharing it with those who you believe need to hear this truth. Your path is precious, so please leave a comment below sharing your experiences and how you are preparing for your own victorious return to your real self. If you'd like to help us continue our goal, please consider making a contribution via the Buy Me a Coffee link in the description. No present is too tiny. Whether it's a penny, a prayer, or a share, your generosity helps spread God's message and gives hope to so many people. Do not stop here. Watch our next video for additional amazing insights into the indications that indicate you are the chosen one. We've loved sharing this spiritual journey with you. Thank you for sticking with us to the end. Keep flashing your wonderful light brightly and accept your divine destiny with bravery and elegance. We will see you next time. Blessings to all the lovely beings in the God Connection family.